Hello, you mob. Right, just thought I'd do a quick video, um, basically on oil. Um, so yeah, quite some time ago, this one turned up, the old BWET, on some of my scans, and I foolishly didn't get in on it. I watched it from all the way back here. Look at that. If I was to jump on after that, she would have been a good one, 237. So basically, that's um, to do with shipping, yeah, which obviously is going up in price, our shipping, because we're losing ships in the Strait. Some of them are stuck, some of them are destroyed. They take a long time to build a VLCC oil carrier. And being someone that's in the industry myself, I do happen to know that one company I work for, their shipping windfall went from $20,000 a day to use one of their ships up to $200,000 a day. And that was somewhere around here. So I'm not sure where it is at the moment. But that gives you an idea of how much shipping's suffering because of the strait closure, the war on stupidity, as we like to call it. So, yeah, BWET should have jumped on that one, but didn't. The one that I found real disappointing last night for myself was ERX. Now, I've been in ERX for a while. I did have some stuff, there it is, had some stuff drawn up. So I've been on ERX for a while. I jumped in, I think it was around here, and I rode it all the way through this going, I know that the oil reserves are low. It's got to go up eventually. And I rode it all the way down and all the way back up again. And of course, I jumped out around here somewhere. So I've pretty much made no money on it. Haven't really suffered a loss, but didn't make any money on it. I had quite a significant portion of my portfolio in there, actually. And in the meantime, I'd drawn this little bit of a long-term bull flag and a shorter-term, what do you call that, bull pennant? Shorter-term bull pennant, which I had this drawn in a couple of days ago. I didn't post anything about it, which I can't claim credit if you don't post about it, really. As you can see, it broke through that wedge, come up and hit resistance around this top of the flag. But yeah, I'm going to call that a break. And if we were to move where, this is kind of proof, I guess, that I did have it. If we were to move where I thought it might break, move that up to where it did break, you are looking at a measured move around 20%. So ERX is, I suppose I might as well tell a full story. The reason I jumped out of it and I didn't pay attention to these flag formations was ERX is a 2 times levered play, and I tend to really, I want to look at the underlying assets when it's a levered play. I don't know if it's rightly or wrongly, I tend to ignore a little bit of the chart patterns when there's leverage involved. Probably should maybe pay more attention to them, especially if you get a move like that. That was last night. We were looking at a move from the candle before of about 10%, which is about right. But yeah, as you know, America's been excluded from the conversation. They're no longer contributing to the deal that's happening between Iran and Oman. And I really think that it's going to be costly for oil. Just remember this 10% increase, because I've got another comment to make a bit further on, which I think this 10% increase is going to affect some things. Obviously, this is just 10% on the 2 times leverage, so you're looking at 5 times the 5% increase in the underlying asset, roughly speaking. but yeah, I'm quite liking the look of it. And if you were to measure from there to where my measured move was, there's another 12% there. And I'm feeling if we break this downward trend line here, which we have technically broken it, we just haven't confirmed. If we confirm above it, I think you're looking at a possible big increase. Let's see what happens with the straight. There's lots of theories and stuff around oil consumption, demand destruction, alternative technologies, and things like that. I don't know any of that stuff. I just look at the chart and go, what's the chart kind of trying to tell me? So yeah, that was ERX. That was my my missed opportunity. I share them all, might as well. But I'm just glad that I got out without a loss. I could have got out with a big loss. So I really was worrying around here. But oil itself had a gap around there, and I felt like we were just going to come down, fill the gap, and go back up, which we did. Realistically, I should have dropped out of it here because there's a beautiful Head and Shoulders. At least here, I should have jumped out, and that would have been I had a bit more profit when I exited around here. But anyway, that was the RX, and this is basically oil services as well. So also the services side of things as opposed to oil companies, but I think there's a few in there. I can't remember. Well, you know what? While we're at it, we can just I do have a where are we? ETFs. ETFs. This is something I've been working on in the background as well. It just lists ETFs and grabs all their underlying assets. So we'll let that load in the background. So yeah, OIH, as you can see, I've drawn a bit of a channel here, and I've just come off this little bit of a hiccup here. It was a massive drop and a little bounce. And that little bounce there is where I've started my parallel channel. And it looks like we've broken out. And I tend to think that once we break out, we use that top of the channel. So, we might get a couple of days and come up to here somewhere. Just trying to get something we can draw with. I'm working on fixing my drawing tools. See, so I put a little ellipse tool in there. Not quite working yet. So yeah, we might bounce up around here and do something like that. It's just a theory, but that's what I'll be looking for on something like OIH. Is I'll probably watch it until it comes up around to this zone, and if it starts to pull back, I'll get ready to jump in if we hit this parallel channel and hopefully get a bit of a kick off it. Oil U, which is a 3 times leverage, so that would have gone up about 20% or something. What's up there? Only 10%. Because that's 3 times leverage on different underlying assets, obviously. But essentially, it looks the same, right? They're all drawing this same, what I would like to call a bit of a flag pattern. It's popping up on all of them. So yeah, it is kind of popping up on all of them, and if they play out the same, they could be quite profitable. 84%. So yeah, we'll see how they go. If they play out the same as they're supposed to, they'll be looking pretty decent. Well, I don't know why that's so distorted now. That's probably just something I need to fix up. It's roughly the same angle. Anyway, I know what it is. It's probably because of that. Yeah, they've distorted things a little. Just a bit of programming I've got to do to fix all the vectors properly. But anyway, that's Oil U. US oil. That's probably much to say about that, except from the fact that it does look a little bit like a cup and a handle with a slight breakout, but it's very gappy, so it's pretty hard to do that. Looks a bit better. Compress it down. A little bit of a cup and a handle with a tiny breakout. If you were to apply technical analysis chart patterns to that, you're probably looking somewhere around there, 30% if you're lucky. So a little bit of a cup and handle on that one. XES, your favourite. I had this drawn in yesterday as well. I didn't get to post a video yesterday. The family was home, and I always, quite frankly, I feel like a bit of a cockhead if I sit here talking at you guys and my family are floating around. But anyway, this one I had drawn in as a bit of a double bottom. I was going to mention it to Rudy. This was an old favourite of Rudy's, the old XES. I jumped in, can't remember where I jumped in, but I had a safety line drawn here. This was my exit. So I was pretty happy with that exit, but now it's done a bit of a double bottom. Would have been nice if I jumped in on it. I was looking at it. I just got a bit slack last night. That was a 5%er. I would kind of expect that to come up to around this resistance line, and then we will be waiting to see whether it breaks it. But yeah, there's a little bit there with XES. XLE, which is what I tend to think is the underlying asset of ERX. They're kind of similar. This is the energy sector. XLE is energy select sector. Slightly different indexes, and you can see that they are slightly different. When it was looking like going down, I had this drawn as a bit of a bottom, expecting it might come down to there. But it's just oscillated nicely within this flag, and due to that big move last night, it has just poked its head above this flag. We could be looking something like that. Nice 30% of there, if it's to play the game, see whether it does or not. But yeah, if you're not up with the whole Iran war situation at the moment, there's a few good YouTubers out there that get some good guests online. They get there's geopolitical analysis. There's quite interesting to watch some ex-colonels that come on there and talk about how dumb it is. It could just be my algorithm picking the ones that badmouth it, but throughout the whole conflict, they've all been pretty good. What are their names? There's I can't think of their names. Anyway, XOP. XOP is another one that's kind of forming a bit of a bull flag, in my opinion. And it's just an opinion, like you don't have to agree, and it could be wrong. But to me, it is still looking very bullish, very flaggish, and some of them have broken out, some of them haven't. They're all slightly different. But yeah, I'm looking pretty confident with oil myself. I may go back into ERX. So just a little disclosure there, I don't have anything. Whether I go in it or not, I don't know. I'm just happy with this little break. I'll probably keep my eye on ERX and look for a confirmation tonight. If we close above this, I feel like I might head in there, especially if we close above that peak. Like if we close above that peak, that's a continuation. If we close above that peak at any point, that would be more bullish confirmation. And definitely once we get above that, which is roughly where this flag ends anyway, that'll be a fair, if we manage to get up to there, that'll be a fair bit of a resistance there. We've got the end of the flagpole, which is pretty much in line with our previous high. But if we can pierce that, onward and upward, I guess. Oh, that's right, we had this loading in the background. What were we going to look at? It was ERX. This is all the, this is why it took quite some time to load. This is all the ETFs that I've collected data for. We head down to EQR. Boom, open it up. And this is all the bits and pieces that are inside it. I've got to do a bit of work on this. So yes, it does contain, that's what we were looking at. It does contain Exxon, Chevron, ConocoPhillips. So it does contain some of those bigger boys. They're in there. What else is in there? Ones I've not heard of. Devon Energy Corp. I think they make Poloni or Devon or Fritz, depending on which state you come from. Joking. Devon Energy Corp. I don't really know those ones. DVN. Let's have a quick look at them, eh? Where's one? Let's be where she's at. Was it DVN? DVN. Devon. So look at Devon. Yeah, same pattern as all the rest. Surprise, surprise. We've gone up, we're coming down. So, but being a individual ticker, what I do have is all this analysis up top here. So yeah, like anything, I like to take a fundamentals and turn them into technicals. So these are all Wall Street analysts' reports and their target prices, which is in purple. You can see the target price. So if I just move to one of them, Bob Brackett on the 23rd of the 3rd, he said they would go to $59. So 23rd of the 3rd, what I like to do is just grab a vertical, move it here somewhere and just look for, oh, sorry, Bob, where were you, Bob? Yeah, so this year, 26. So 23rd of the 3rd, 26. So I go across until I find that. And that gives me context, you know, like I go right about there. This guy looked at all their books and said that they would get to 59. Did they get there? 52. High there was 52. So 59 was a bit further up. He was saying that they would get, this is what I do as well, I'll stick something like that there. 59. 59 flat, I think he said, around there. He was thinking that they'd get to about there at that point, and he didn't know any of this stuff behind there. So what I like to do is scroll across there until I find one. Oh, it was May. In May, this guy said, John Freeman. Hey, I used to work with John Freeman. G'day, Johnny, if you're out there. Not this dude, though. So this Johnny Freeman said 5th of 5th. If we look here, 5th, right here, on that day, 5th of the 5th. Well, Johnny Boy said $72. It's here somewhere. Right, so that was his analysis at that point. So, going by that, if you were to, roughly speaking, say we're looking at April's, I'll break out, I've got it around here. But yeah, that's just a little bit of the analysis I like to do sometimes. So that's DVN, which is a holder, which is held by ERX. And obviously there's these bits and pieces. These are all this is how they increase their leverage with different options and puts, calls, swaps, that kind of thing. But yeah, Baker Hughes, they're a pretty good company. But yeah, there's some decent companies in there. They're holding, and it's interesting that they're holding them. So I think what happens is like they will hold them and then grab these derivatives, hold them against specific ones. So I don't know how it works. not that far into investing, but I have read a bit more on puts and calls. Swaps are a bit different. Yeah, all instruments, and that's the instruments that are held. You don't have to worry about them. If you think something's going to go up and you want to go a leverage play, you jump in on it, and that'll give you roughly 2 times the volatility up or down. And look, there's a counter one. If you think it's going to go down, there's one for you right there. ERY. Let's have a look and see how that's done. ERY. Before I go, I'll just save that. ERY. How's that performed? Right. And on the other side, you'd almost say that that was a bear flag, right? So they're all holding basically the same things. So it isn't confirmation that they're all, that they're all doing it. That's not the case at all. They're all holding the same things, and however it plays out is how it will play out. But to me, this is still pretty much a bear flag for anyone that's holding the inverse things. Yeah, so to me that doesn't look great. I wouldn't buy into that. Some people might say, "Hey, listen, it's the base point," and you could turn it around. Depends on what what your underlying thesis is. You could turn it around and say, "Man, this is basing really nicely." Some people might say that. It's almost a bit of a W pattern. It's not really, but you can see it has formed a base. If your thesis was that oil was going to go down, and you'd use that as just to confirm it yourself, you might go, "Yeah, I'm going to say that's going to go down." But I'm not liking it because there's an overall, to me, what I see as a bull flag, and given the geopolitical situation, and then there's also this tiny little bull flag which we've just broken out of, which would tell me we're looking like that. So I'm I'm not that committed to being a bear. I think I'm going to be a little bit more of a bull on the oil, given last night's movement, even though I sold out of it. So when I say I'm going to be more of a bull, I'm just talking on mumbling shit. But basically, I'm leaning towards bull, but I haven't got enough commitment to jump into it yet. I'll probably think about it today. About to head down and have a coffee, and I might think about things, where I'm going to put things, where I'm going to put some money. Yeah, that does look pretty good. The double flag, little flag inside the big flag. Anyway, that went on longer than I thought. And I've just been testing new audio equipment, so I hope that helps a bit. My audio's been pretty soft on my previous videos. You can probably hear me breathing. I'm still mucking around with the volume gain, but I hope that it's a better sounding video. And that's me on oil. Oh, what I was going to say, if oil goes up, it's not a great sign for metals, which I know a lot of people will say, "You're an idiot." And between me and you, I am. But things like this, especially the miners, right? Because if oil goes up, fuel's going to go up. It's tight enough as it is. The cost to get the stuff out of the ground is going to push a few people back a bit. And we've got 2 big gaps here. This is GDX. He's gapped up and gapped up. Like, that's no problem. You still got to fill this gap. But I feel like that run was just maybe just a little bit too fast. Obviously, just like everyone else, right? I'm bullish on the metals, But at the same time, I should go to the lowest low, I suppose. At the same time, as you can be bullish and at the same time say, well, we're going to have a pullback. Sorry about that. So I still feel like we might get a bit of a pullback. There's a 618 is down here, the 50's there. 618 would see us closing both those gaps at least, and it will probably sit pretty close to that trend line that everyone's been watching. I don't know where the trend line was, something like that. Some people would draw it there. Some people would bring it out to include the wicks. Well, if you include the wicks, some people don't even go from the top. Some people go from here, but I think you've got to come from the top. If you include the wicks, and depending on whether you called that the breakout or not, or that was another wick, and that there was the breakout, you're probably looking around the 618, come down and try and bounce off that a bit. Anyway, it's just a little bit of a contrarian view to what most people are calling. A lot of people are saying up and away for gold and silver, and that's fine. I feel like that's going to happen too, but man, that is a massive run for the miners. Gap up. What are we talking here? What have we gone up overall? 15% in a week or something. Yeah, I feel like that's just a big jump. It's a fairly big jump. There is this little bit of daisy, grab the line. There's this little bit, maybe a little bit of resistance there somewhere. We've closed above it, but we haven't really confirmed it. Yeah. So yeah, that's my view. I think oil's going to creep up a little bit more from now, and I think that's going to again put a little bit more downward pressure on the precious metals, which have in the recent week have really performed stellar. If I was in them, I'd be looking at maybe just securing a couple of bits of profit, just backing off your holdings a little bit, trimming the profit, and then seeing if there's a pullback, and then go. We might only pull back to here. Who knows? Obviously, with all the monetary issues that America has, gold's going to be a good asset to hold moving forward. It's end up doing something like that. I don't know. It's yeah. Oil moving up. Metals due for pullback. That's just the way I see it at the moment. Holy cow, that was almost half an hour. My apologies. Thanks, everyone. I got to go and get a coffee from the shop. See ya.